do children cope following news of a terrorist attack? Well, for more on this, we're joined now by Dr. Amanda Gummer, who's a child psychologist from the organisation Fundamentally Children. Thanks for coming in to talk to us. It's never easy to explain troubling events to the young, is it? But how do you talk to them about terrorism?
I thought the father there did a lovely job. It is really difficult, and I think the simplest rule is honest, age-appropriate, simple answers. I think if you try and flannel it, if you try and palm them off, children get anxious, and young children have a very vivid imagination. They can hear something on the news, they can hear something that a parent said, they can hear a conversation in a playground, and they can add 2 and 2 together and make 65 and have nightmares and terrors, and it becomes very real for them. Children seeing things on the television, especially young children, don't really understand the difference between a news report that's about something local to them in their school, in their town, and something that's happening on the other side of the world. So I think it's very difficult for parents to talk to them about it, but I think the key thing is to answer children's questions as simply and as honestly as you can.
Do you think it's relatively easy to reassure young children, but far more difficult with teenagers?
I think teenagers have they're much more equipped to understand the complexity of it. I think younger children feel much more like there should be a right and a wrong, a good and a bad, and they expect parents to fix it, because that's what parents do in their daily lives. Parents are able to fix it. As children get older, it's much more important that you're able to say to your children, I don't know the answers. This is a terrible thing. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be confused. We don't know what to do about it. There are lots of very clever people trying to figure out how to make the world safe and to make it a better place. And all we can do in our little sort of environments, in your family, in our world, is to do the best you can and to not let the hate penetrate. And I think making sure that certainly older children aren't swept along in the frenzy of the social media or the sort of the playground bandwagon of demonising different groups of society, and making sure that they understand that it is a very complex issue, and actually it's still a very small minority of people, and it might seem like it's big because of the 24-hour news, because of the social media, but actually trying to put it in context and reassuring them is really important.
What do you do about the child who doesn't want to talk about it at all?
Young children are very egocentric, and sometimes they see it on the news. It's something, they can watch a film, and it can be something that they watch. It doesn't affect them, and if they don't internalise it and they don't want to talk about it, don't worry about it. If they're having nightmares, if they're getting withdrawn, if their behaviour changes, then you do need to try and open them up and trying to sort of explain to them about how you're feeling about it, and that it's okay to be confused and upset and angry.
Just briefly, if a child says to you or to anybody watching, is there going to be a terrorist attack here? What advice would you give them? What should we say?
I think it largely depends on the age of the child, but don't tell them it won't happen here, because if you cannot promise that, I think the important thing is to say that it's very unlikely to happen to anybody they know, and that everything we're doing is designed to try and help make them safer.
Really good to talk to you, Dr. Amanda Gummer. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks. Time for a look at the